next session shortly. So we'll be back with HeyGen for marketing. This is going to be a popular session, I think, based on what people told us when they signed up for bootcamp. I think there's a lot of interest in how you can use HeyGen for marketing, different marketing use cases. We've got a great guest speaker joining HeyGen for marketing as well. So we will be back in about less than 10 minutes. We'll be back for HeyGen for marketing. I'll put some music back on. You can take a quick break and we will see you soon. Hello, everyone. We are back from our short break between sessions, and we are ready to jump into HeyGen for marketing, our last breakout session of the day. I'm very excited for this one. We had a lot of interest. I'm going to go ahead and bring Holly to the stage. She is our head of marketing at HeyGen, and she is going to kick us off. Welcome, Holly.
Thank you, Audrey. Let me go ahead and actually share my screen first.
All right, I think we have that here.
Amazing. Well, hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Holly Xiao, and I lead marketing at HeyGen. And as Audrey alluded to, this is the final session of our HeyGen Bootcamp. And I truly hope the insights and tips from the past 2 days have started reshaping how you think about video marketing. This specific session is actually to help you better understand how HeyGen can amplify your marketing efforts. And I know we've actually got a mix of folks in the room. So I saw that some of you are enterprise marketers leading big portfolios, and we've also got scrappy teams of one who are the marketing department. But the tension is the same in our jobs, right? There's more demand for content than ever, especially video. And somehow we're supposed to deliver more with the same or less budget and headcount. So today we're going to share ways to radically increase the speed and volume of video you create while keeping the quality bar high without burning your team out or blowing up your budget. So my goal by the end of the session is for you to see video not as this painful production line you dread, but as a system that you can actually manage. And Oscar Eduardo Estrada, who's the AI video specialist at HubSpot, will join me in a bit to share more about HubSpot's overarching video strategy, the use cases marketing is using HeyGen for, and what value they're seeing so far. But before we get to that conversation, I want to first ground us in the reality of who we're actually marketing to. So I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here, but the old game was simple, right? We need to buy enough impressions, blast enough emails, and statistically something would work. So volume was the strategy, but that's gone, especially in the age of AI. And the new law of attention is pretty brutal. You don't win because you shout the loudest. You win because you show up with the most relevant, most useful message at the exact moment someone actually cares. And brands who are posting less frequently, but with format native, high quality content actually saw an increase in 40% in terms of stronger engagement and 25% lower acquisition costs. So it's evident that in this attention economy, your audience is not starved for information. They're drowning in it. And that's really why video has become the default language of the internet. It's truly the fastest way to communicate and transfer understanding and emotion at the same time. And the numbers back this up. So YouTube has been the second largest search engine since 2008, and over 1 billion hours of videos are watched daily on YouTube. It's also why 91% of businesses use video marketing and why 82% of all global internet traffic is made up of video content. So that means your buyers are not reading, 2,000 word product pages on their phones at 10 p.m., right? They're watching short explainers, demos, customer stories, and tutorials, and often on mute while multitasking. So if you aren't showing up on video frequently, you're likely invisible for a huge part of the buyer journey. But the question is not necessarily, should we do more video, right? You're probably already convinced of that. The real question here is, how do we keep up with them? And how do we do video at the velocity the market now expects without breaking the bank or team? So let's layer in the money side for a second. So according to Gartner's 2025 CMO spend survey, the average marketing budget is 7.7% of company revenue. And that's exactly the same as 2024. But what's interesting is this trend line here. So in 2023, budgets were at 9.1%. Then they dropped to 7.7% in 2024. So roughly 15% in reduction. And they've basically held there. And this is now the third year in a row that budgets haven't bounced back to pre-pandemic levels. So how do we get more leverage out of the budget we already have, right? And that's really the lens I want us to have as we talk about AI video, not just as an extra line item, but really as a way to turn the same 7.7% into a lot more impact, especially when it comes to video, which is where so much of the opportunity is right now. So if we accept that tight budgets are the reality for most of us, the next layer is what's being asked of marketing inside that constraint. And in a survey from Adweek, around 8 out of 10 CMOs say the mandate is basically do more with the same team, or in some cases with less. So if you're an enterprise, this shows up as hiring freezes, open roles that stay open, and teams that are already at capacity. And if you're a solopreneur or a one-person marketing team, it shows up as, well, you wearing 10 hats and constantly working at 120%. And the old way of solving this problem of let's add another agency, freelancer, internal headcount just doesn't scale under this reality. So instead of asking, how do I add more people? We need to ask, how do I change the system so the same number of people can produce 5 to 10x the output? And that's the gap AI video is designed to fill, not as a shiny, experiment off to the side, but as a way to scale your team across the funnel for even more bottom line impact. So essentially, this is the gap, right? The demand is exponential, but our capacity to deliver is linear. And every channel prioritizes video now. LinkedIn, Instagram, your website, your sales team, they all want video. And it's not just one TV commercial anymore either. It's sizzle reels, demos, explainers, customer stories, training modules, you name it. But traditional video production doesn't scale, right? You can't just work harder to close this gap. And that's because traditional video production has a really high barrier to entry. It requires budget, access to production teams, talent who aren't camera shy, and the list goes on. But even for those who are lucky enough to have access to video production, there are still challenges, right? So first, bottlenecks. 1 or 2 people become the choke point for all things video. So everything waits on them. There is also latency. So it takes weeks, even months from concept to file. And in a world where your competitors can react in days, that delay can get very expensive, which leads us to the third one, which is opportunity costs. So these would include campaigns you never launched because creative took too long or didn't have the resources, or ideas that you killed because we don't have video or the resource for that. And I'm sure we've all lived this. And it's not just frustrating, it's strategically limiting. And so if we map the traditional video journey, it's not hard to see why it's slow and resource intensive. Each of these steps is a project itself. And that's for one version in one language and for one video use case, right? And the process is never linear as well, as much as we want it to be. So if you think about filming, and you think you're done filming, and then you have to, reshoot a scene because the actor's shirt wasn't tucked in, but he's now sunburnt because he just went to Mexico. Or the product name changes 2 weeks before launch, and you have to reshoot the whole thing again, which further delays the entire production cycle. Or, if you're a team of 1, this process could be even worse, right? It's usually just you, a ring light, and maybe 30 takes of you stumbling over your words, which I've definitely done because we're all human. And you're definitely not alone. But pausing here, I'm actually curious how many of you resonate with this. So if you could chat in maybe some of your video experiences that have caused delays or scope creep, that would be awesome. All right. Cool. So I want to ask, instead of how do we squeeze one more campaign out of a tired process, what if we genuinely asked, what would it take to 10x our video output and speed? And what does it mean, or what would it mean to you or your business if that were to happen? And I know for most teams, that sounds impossible if you assume the process has to stay the same. So for example, if every video still means a bespoke shoot, a custom edit, and a localized version handled manually. But if you're willing to rethink how video gets made, to separate the creative from the filming, the message from the talent, suddenly 10x becomes much more realistic. And that's where AI comes in. It's not a gimmick, but really a new production model that changes your time to video math. And so with HeyGen, it's video production for the rest of us. So it's built for the underdog. So those who don't have, the blockbuster budgets or resources, the production skills, or just are camera shy. And our goal is to help you level the playing field to turn your ideas, knowledge, and stories into published ready videos in minutes, not months. And this is all without a production crew or camera. So you can essentially see us as your always on production layer to help you create, personalize, and localize your videos into over 175 languages and dialects. And on top of that, give you global brand control, full new systems, workspaces, and more to manage your projects. And then once you have the video, you can literally publish it on any platform, or you can keep it on a personalized landing page for viewers to comment on. But let's actually double click into some of these pillars. So when it comes to creating a video, we offer 3 different ways to do it. The first way, which is the example that you actually see here on the screen, is to do it by typing a script. So if you already have an email copy, newsletter, or blog that you want to use, you can simply copy and paste that into our AI Studio. Additionally, you can upload a PDF or deck directly into HeyGen, and we'll turn that into a video for you with the deck as a background if that's something that you want. So this use case is actually great if you already have PDFs or decks or training content and materials that you want to quickly turn into videos so that it's more engaging. And then lastly, our latest product called Video Agent really lets you turn prompts into videos. So you can type in a description of the video that you want and then upload related assets that you want to use in the video. And then our AI and our technology basically will then deliver the polished video for you at the end. And we typically recommend using Video Agent when creating social videos. But one of the core product values that we have is really controllability. So with the 3 methods that I just shared, there's an option for you to edit the video directly in our AI Studio afterward to tweak it to exactly how you envision it. So that way you're not just settling for good enough, and you really get a video that you're proud of at the end of the day. Now, I'm sure you've been seeing news about the latest AI models like AI Sora, Google's VO3, and so have we. So we've been staying ahead of these announcements and have worked with OpenAI and Google to use the most cutting edge models right in our production suite. So with these models, you can dynamically change backgrounds, scenes, outfits, props, gestures, really anything that you would want to tweak from the initial digital twin that you have or the B-rolls that you have. And then together, these integrations, what they do is they enable you to achieve cinematic storytelling and blend creativity with control. So if you haven't tried these out, highly recommend testing these out. Now, when it comes to personalized, you can think of personalization similarly to personalizing emails, which I'm sure we're all very familiar with. However, the final output isn't an email, it's a video. So you can add in whatever tokens you'd like, for example, the name or the company, or you can get a little more complex with specific paragraphs or sentences for different segments of your audience as well. And all of this personalization is available through our API integration. But for those who use HubSpot, we actually have a native integration with HubSpot where you can automatically personalize emails at scale based on certain triggers in your CRM. And then, of course, localize. So if you're completely new to HeyGen, the fastest way to test it out is actually to localize one of your existing videos into a different language. So localization, it often gets overlooked or deprioritized, right? And with HeyGen, you can easily incorporate it into your workflows no matter what team you're on. And you'll be able to localize into over 175 languages and dialects with HeyGen, and you can localize 10 languages at once. Cool. Okay. We'll get to some specific use cases, but these are real reasons from companies like Miro, Workday, Travago, and Coursera. So starting with speed and output, which I actually think are table stakes in this AI era, with HeyGen, we've helped businesses 5x their video output and increase production speed by 10x. Trivago localized their marketing campaigns. I'll actually go through an example of this later on, but they localized their marketing campaigns into 30 markets simultaneously. And personally, I get a lot of questions around if AI video impacts engagement. And Coursera is actually a really great example of AI video impacting engagement in positive ways. So for Coursera, they were able to increase video watch time by 40% and video completion rates by 25%. Now, when we think about use cases, I know there's a lot going on this slide, but the point of this slide is really to show that there are a ton of video use cases across the marketing funnel. And there are a lot of long tail use cases with AI video. So as a marketer myself, it's been so interesting to see how people use HeyGen in their marketing strategy. But if you're looking to start somewhere, these are really the core use cases where there's a sweet spot, especially for marketing teams. So it's executive communications, there's localization, marketing campaigns, social videos, product demos, and then of course, personalized videos. Now I'm sure you're wondering what these could look like. So I've actually prepared a few examples, starting with Klarna. So Klarna CEO used HeyGen and his digital twin to do their quarterly report, which they also posted on social. So that is the video that you will be seeing. And then let me just switch my screen really quickly. All right.
Hello, hey, guten tag and hola. It's me, or rather my AI avatar, here to share Klarna's Q1 2025 highlights. We're starting the year strong and 3 things really stand out. 1. We've hit 100 million active consumers, the fastest growth we've seen in years. 2. Klarna just delivered its 4th consecutive profitable quarter. And 3. AI is now deeply embedded across our business, unlocking efficiency and record-setting growth. Let's break that down. Revenue rose 15% year on year to $701 million.
All right, so I won't play the full thing, but that's kind of the gist of him using his avatar to actually do these type of reports. And then let me switch my screen back. So cool. So the next example is Travago. So like I said, Travago localized their ads into 30 markets simultaneously. And so the example that you're about to see is an ad, the same ad in Spanish and the same ad in French.
Searching for your ideal hotel? Do you have tons of tabs open because every site has a different price for the same room? Well, Trivago does all the work for you and instantly compares prices from hundreds of booking sites. Instead of scouring the internet.
So that's in English. Sorry, I think I said Spanish, but that's in English. And then this one is in French.
À la recherche de l'hôtel idéal? Pas facile quand chaque site propose un prix différent pour la même chambre, n'est-ce pas? Justement, Trivago se charge de comparer pour vous les prix de centaines de sites de réservation. Fini les longues heures de recherche et les dépenses inutiles. Avec Trivago, trouvez une super offre pour votre hôtel, tout simplement.
So like I said, they localized this, and as you can tell, it still sounds like Mr. Travago. So his mannerisms, the way he talks, his movements, everything's the same. It's just that it seems like he can speak fluent French and along with 29 other languages. So the next example is actually from McDonald's, and this is part of their Grandma McFlurry campaign. This is probably one of my favorite campaigns using HeyGen so far, but let me play this for you all.
I get frustrated not being able to communicate with her. There's a huge disconnect there.
If I could speak Mandarin with her, I think she'd be a lot more happy. It gets hard because sometimes it'll just be as simple as, oh, we need to go here, and I don't know how to say that.
I wish that my grandma could learn English, so when she's hearing other people, she feels like she kind of is missing out.
If I could speak in my grandma's language, I would tell her, I'm just eternally grateful for all the sacrifices you've ever made for me.
Grandma, thank you for always being my biggest supporter.
इतना प्यार करती हूँ कि मेरे से बातें खत्म ही नहीं होती.
Ako'y lubos na nagpapasalamat sa lahat ng sakripisyo mo para sa akin.
奶奶，谢谢你一直是我最大的支持者。
I love him so much. I would run out of words to express my love for him.
让我好感动. Hindi ko alam na ganun ako kahalaga ngayon sa iyo.
Come to McDonald's to try the Grandma McFlurry and make your own AI video for grandma at sweetconnections.ai.
Cool. So this video it's mostly the localization use case. So these are real people that they filmed, and then they localized the videos in the different languages. All right, so the next example is actually with Reply, and this is for a social use case. So Oleg, their CEO, really wanted to expand their social presence on TikTok. So they started using HeyGen to create their videos. And in the first 6 months, their TikTok followers went from 50,000 to over 200,000. And this boost also drove more people from TikTok to their website, which resulted in more revenue for the business as well. So this example that I'm about to play is one of their TikTok videos.
It's 2024 and you're still using Google? Forget it. Here are top 3 AI searching engines that will give you 10x better answers to your questions. Don't forget to save this video to not lose these cool tools. Number 3, we have Gemini. Gemini is actually an AI from Google itself. It was built from the ground up to be multimodal, which means it can
Cool. So hopefully that gives you an idea of kind of the different animations and B-roll that you're also able to create with HeyGen as well. All right, and then this next example is going to be for a product demo, and they use it as part of onboarding.
Hi, I'm Roman, the founder of Pine. You will now see how you can increase activation rates by 5 times and you try conversion rates by 50%. At Pine, we're revolutionizing digital adoption with our AI-driven avatars, crafting a smarter and more intuitive way for SaaS companies to engage and educate their customers. With Pine, you can scale your best salesperson to each of your users. Let me show you how we do that. Let's take the journey management tool they do as an example. When a new user first accesses their product, they will receive a personalized greeting and introduction from Pine's demo avatar.
Hi, I'm Joachim, CEO and co-founder at They Do. Would you like to take a 3-minute demo to find out how They Do can serve your use case?
So this is an example of how you can incorporate it and personalize the onboarding experience as well. So it doesn't just have to be for prospects. It can really help you with, retention and expansion as well, if that's something that you own on the team. All right, and then the last example is actually a Milka example that Ogilvy created in partnership with Milka, but they partnered with Snell, who's a Swedish rapper, to send a personalized rap message to people who scanned a QR code. So I do apologize. I actually don't think I have sound for this video, but it does give you an idea of kind of like the experience and what that personalization experience can do. Cool. So you can't hear it, but he's singing, and there is a personalized name that it replaces for the different individuals who activated it. All right. So I think one thing that I just want to say here is that, right now is the time to start. A lot of competitors and a lot of the early adopters have already started, and it's going to be truly the early majority and the later majority that's going to be adopting AI video as well. And so if you haven't already started it, I would highly recommend to test it out. A lot of different tools have free trials or at very low cost. So it really doesn't hurt to kind of see, if you have a pain point that you want to address, and see if these tools and solutions can really help you address those pain points. So with that, I'm actually going to bring up Oscar Eduardo Estrada to the stage to join me. Oscar.
Hey, Holly. Thank you for having me here.
Of course. Thank you for joining us. So I guess to kick things off, can you give everyone an intro on just who you are and what you do at HubSpot?
Yeah, totally. So I'm an AI video specialist at HubSpot, and my main job is to research, evaluate, and recommend different AI tools to my team so that we can make our processes better and also reduce friction, especially when going through the creative video process. As you laid out, it had so many different stages, and a lot of people were also resonating with how sometimes scope creep can affect deadlines. So my job is kind of to evaluate all of the different tools that are out there and see how we can help our creative team, which is small but powerful, deliver the content on time.
Absolutely. And, I'm sure a lot of folks here are very familiar with HubSpot and have engaged with the great content that the company publishes and creates. When you think about video at HubSpot, what are some of the main jobs it does for, the marketing team and HubSpot as an organization?
So we have video basically embedded in every part of the funnel. So it can do things from brand awareness, right, from like our bigger like brand campaigns to our social media ads as well. In the middle of the funnel, we have video embedded in like webinars that we do, or like customer educations videos, so they can learn more about like the new products. And then on the bottom of the funnel, we have a lot of AI initiative, a lot of video initiatives, especially regarding conversion ads. So helping people sign up for the software and helping them kind of like have that quick win once they sign up for the software. So yeah, basically the whole marketing funnel is filled with different instances of video.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like if you had to estimate, what percentage of HubSpot's content would you say is video-based versus only text-based?
Yeah. So it's hard to put like an exact number because we're such a global company and video is created by so many teams within marketing. But what I can definitely say is that like the demand for video is increasing by a ton, and we can see that in in two ways. Mostly like first, like the increasing demand from video for our team. The teams that are asking us to create videos are increasing, and also for localization of the videos that we have been created, right? So we have 6 main languages that we serve at HubSpot: English, French, Portuguese, Spanish, German, and Japanese. And delivering content for all of those languages, like it has like the demand for that has increased. And also another aspect that has that we've seen as well is like the appetite of people for asking us for self-enablement tools, so that rather than requesting a video, request a tool so they can create their own videos on their own time.
Oh, interesting. What percentage of people would you say are like requesting for self-serve type of tools versus like, hey, can you help me create this video?
We have a big partnership with our customer education team, and they create, we have the HubSpot Academy, which is a big a library of educational videos in which we not only talk about HubSpot specific content, but also marketing, sales, service. And most of the videos that they're creating now are self-enabled. So we've been able to help kind of like offload that responsibility from the team, while also ensuring that they're producing high quality videos for our brand.
For sure. And you mentioned that the demand has increased a lot from just like the sheer volume of videos that are requested, but also like localized videos as well. From your perspective, why has HubSpot decided to invest so much into video content?
So we've always been a video first company. When I first joined about 6 years ago, we were investing. That's when our educational program was getting started, and it was growing, the academy. I remember I helped shoot the first videos that we did in Spanish and French before we only did English. And then that, like the returns that we saw there helped us also expand into other areas, such as like YouTube. We acquired some media properties. We launched several YouTube channels as well. And yeah, it's just like the return and the engagement that we've seen with video content has kind of like helped us continue that cycle of continuing to invest in video.
Absolutely. And you kind of already talked about, localizing videos and all of that. I definitely think it's fair to say that HubSpot has a best-in-class marketing team. Can you walk us through what your video production and localization process or workflows looked like before HeyGen?
Yeah, totally. So it was very similar to what you to the diagram that you presented.
Yeah.
Before. It was almost like we like to think that it was linear, but it was not, because there were always like revisions, changes that made us move backwards a little bit. But yeah, from a traditional standpoint, it was like the research and scripting phase, then coordinating with the talent, then the shooting aspect of it, and then finally post-production. And I say like the biggest difference with before HeyGen was that it was a very rigid process, right? Like if there's something needed to be changed, I think you mentioned like, for example, like a product name that changes before the product is launched, right? Like we actually face that a few years ago. Like we had like a big launch and the product changed last minute, and trying to find a time to shoot with a senior executive again, it was like very hard. So by leveraging tools like HeyGen, now we have like the flexibility to make those changes like on the fly, right? Like if a situation like that appears again, like we are not just restricted to, okay, we somehow have to find a new time to shoot. We are able to leverage this technology to help us be more flexible and adapt as we go. So yes, that's been the biggest change.
Absolutely. And I feel like most of the customers I've spoken with who are from like a marketing background do mention executive communications, because, you know, instead of having to corral, like figuring out the CEO's like schedule for the holidays versus the CMO schedule, like they can basically just create one digital twin and reuse it, create different looks for them. And it still feels and sounds very authentic and genuine. So I think a lot of marketing teams are actually using us for executive communications right now.
Exactly, because like just finding that time, that's already delaying you days, right? In the production that you're not able to work. So yeah.
Absolutely. So if you had a guesstimate, or I'm sure you probably have this number as well, like how long did the typical video production process take you, or like take the team in general?
Yeah, so for like our YouTube videos, for example, it takes us like with like traditional pipeline, about like a month or so from the beginning towards the end. And then like when there were like this type of like revisions, or when we had to do localization, you would have to add several days or at least a week to that to coordinate with the new talent. And now like that extra time, we've been able to like reduce it to minutes. So if we need to make any changes, like that's done within the same day, or like we're able to kickstart the localization process easily, because now we can send the video file to the team or the vendor who's taking care of that localization process, and they're able to like work on it faster.
Absolutely, yeah. So if you were to look, I mean, or if we look at the different, you know, stages of adoption, I think I mentioned this earlier, but we are still at the early majority stage when it comes to, you know, businesses adopting AI video. And HubSpot was probably more so in the early adopter bucket. What was the turning point that led your team to explore AI-driven video creation?
Yeah. So like our team, we're like creators at heart. So we're always like tinkering with all of the new technology. So I think like, but the big turning point came when we were able to put like a business need to like the features or like this new technology that we were experimenting with. So in the case with HeyGen, going back to the like almost like the fire drill that we had with the product change and the senior executive, I remember that we had shot the video. It was like the motion graphics were added, so it was basically almost at like a delivery standpoint. And then yeah, a couple of weeks before the launch, it was like the product name changed. So then we were faced with the challenge: should we try to reschedule with executive? And this was a shoot that was done in a studio, so we had also kind of like recreate the set, you know, bring external contractors if needed. So it wasn't just like finding a slot in their calendar like for half an hour. Or we can test some of the new tools that we were experimenting, and one of them was HeyGen, to create like an avatar of the executive and then try to correct that phrase. And to our like I guess like initial surprise, like because it was very surprising, like seeing it work, that kind of like fueled our interest to continue investing in video, because it was like such a big pain point for us, and it became a huge quick win that we could then use to continue investing in AI video.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know, earlier you talked about how the different like use cases, the video use cases for HeyGen across the marketing funnel, and it's awesome to see that you've completely rethought the system for video creation and how it fits into the overarching marketing tech stack. Out of all the existing use cases right now, like what are the top 3 use cases where HeyGen is now, you know, business as usual for you and the team?
Yes, totally. So the first one I'd say is with ads creation. We had a request from the paid media team at the beginning of the year to see if we could like scale the production of our ad content, because now with like the traffic that is going to different channels, for like with the new like rise of AI and people using LLMs versus going to websites, we were trying to experiment with what channels would provide us with the best conversions, and for that they needed assets to test. So typically within a paid campaign, we used to produce like 5 to 15 videos, and this time we wanted to see, okay, can we scale that to like at least 100 of videos that we can provide them? And HeyGen was like a key player in that, especially for like the creator style videos. So that ads is a big one. Reshoots, like I mentioned earlier, that's also like one of our go-to use cases. Every time there's a change in the product, now we're like, okay, no problem, we'll do it with HeyGen. So having that peace of mind is really big for our team. And then the third one as well, localization, being able to put out the content out there and into our audience that speaks multiple languages and may not be comfortable with just reading like subtitles. I feel like that is also huge.
For sure. And I think, I'd love to double click on the ads piece, because what most people don't see is that because you're able to increase, the number of ads you're able to produce from, let's say like 5 to 100, right? You're really able to test a lot of different ads in a very short amount of time to understand like what ads work, what messages work, to decrease the cost per clicks and also the conversion rates as well. And that's actually something we're doing here at HeyGen as well, of like just creating a lot of different ads with different like value propositions, all of that, and just really just rigorously testing with different iterations. And I think that's really helped us to optimize a lot of our metrics on the marketing side as well. So that's a really great one to call out.
Yeah.
Speaking of ads, do we actually want to play a couple of the ad examples that you shared with us?
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
You're prompting your AI wrong. Here's why. You might be asking vague questions like, write an Instagram caption, but then end up with results that sound like everyone else's. But you're not everyone else. You want content that sounds like you and actually connects with your audience across every channel. The secret? Better prompting that tells AI exactly what you need. Download HubSpot's 1000 AI marketing and productivity prompts for free and get started with better prompting.
Awesome. So that's example number 1. And I think we have one
4
more.
out of 5 HubSpot users say HubSpot improved their productivity. Here are 3 ways that's happening in real time. HubSpot brings everything you need into one easy-to-access platform. Basically, all your tools are in one place. Built-in AI gives you powerful tips from data you might have missed. You don't have to sweat about going through stats again and again. Get an up-to-the-minute view of everything in your company, and all that insight helps teams see ROI in weeks, not months.
That's awesome. And I do want to call out that the avatar at the very beginning of this was one of our public avatars. So we have a ton of public avatars that people can choose from if they're not comfortable, creating a digital twin of themselves. But there is an option to also create a digital twin, of your executives, of yourself, to also be in these videos as well. But thank you for sharing those examples with us, Oscar.
Yeah, 100%. And the first one was also like we found also was like the perfect use case for the avatar, because it was talking about AI prompts. Like that was like the ebook that people could download. So it was kind of like meta AI talking about AI content. So and yeah, it was actually one of like our better performing ads as well. So yeah,
awesome.
It's been super cool.
Let me share my screen, because I know you also prepared a couple of YouTube videos as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to give folks some context on this video before I play it?
Yeah, for sure. So usually when we started producing YouTube content, we started with our English marketing channel. And then as we started seeing it grow and we saw the traffic come in from different parts of the world, we saw the opportunity to start growing and expanding our channels into multiple languages. So this is a clip from our Spanish YouTube channel. And our strategy here was to take basically like the best performing videos that we're seeing in our English channel, and then localize them so that people from Latin America, from Spain, could see it in their own native language. So everything like the person on camera, the dialogue, and the lip sync has been localized with HeyGen, and we also relied on external on in-language editors to help us localize, for example, like the thumbnail and all the motion graphics.
Awesome. Okay, let me go ahead and play it.
Hola, soy Jamal y bienvenidos otra vez al canal. En este video, te enseñaremos cómo convertir a tus clientes potenciales en clientes leales utilizando un proceso llamado mapeo del recorrido del cliente. Si no viajan contigo, no pagan y tu negocio fracasa. Sin viaje, sin pago, negocio fracasa. De acuerdo, no queremos que eso suceda. Descarga las plantillas gratuitas de viaje de HubSpot desde nuestra descripción antes de comenzar. Suscríbete a nuestro canal y activa las notificaciones para no perderte videos. HubSpot.
All right, I'm going to pause here because I know we have another video as well. So this is another example, right, Oscar? Okay.
Yes, another example that came from marketing, from the English marketing channel to the Spanish marketing channel as well.
Perfect.
Resumen ejecutivo es un discurso de presentación del plan de negocios. Tanto emprendedores como CEOs necesitan un resumen ejecutivo sólido para el crecimiento a largo plazo. Aquí está la buena noticia. Es rápido escribir noticias no tan buenas, desafiante por diferentes propósitos. Hoy voy a compartir 5 consejos para...
I will probably pause it here. But yeah, I say like these are really great examples. And like I said at the very beginning, localization is probably the easiest way you can get started with AI video generation. It's super, super simple. It probably takes you 1 minute to be able to test something like this. And you can kind of see if that's a use case that you want to use. And then I would say like if we really think about the crawl, walk, run approach, localization, super, super easy to just get started. And then, creating a digital twin is probably gonna be your next best bet to get the most out of an AI tool like HeyGen. And that way it can really just open the floodgates of like how many videos and like what type of videos you're really going to be able to create after that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Localization is probably the easiest win, because then you're opening your video to such a wider audience, right? So it has probably one of the highest impacts, and it's such a quick win to get started. So yeah, I definitely recommend for anyone getting started with HeyGen to definitely try the localization piece.
Awesome. Well, obviously it goes without saying that there are definitely AI skeptics out there as well. So I'm curious, did you have any skepticism did you have any skepticism internally about AI video or avatars, and like kind of what did people worry about there?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like with every new technology, there's always like mixed feelings. There's some skepticism on how that would change the status quo or like the workflows that had been done so far. So one of the main challenges with, one of the main challenges that were presented with AI avatars was the issue of trust, right? Like, how do you present the avatars in a way that people don't feel like they're being like tricked or deceived? There was a lot of that. And like, if people expect seeing a real person and they're seeing an avatar, how would they react? So the way that we approached it is we always think about like projects as experiments. So like we kind of like almost define like the variables that we're going to experiment. So if we're experimenting with avatars, we were like, okay, how can we think about like the disclosure, right? Because we don't want to trick people. We don't want to think how people are being tricked. So for example, like an experimentation bucket that we had with the first batch of ads was to like put like a lower thirds saying like they're AI avatars. Another experimentation bucket that we've been testing as well was like saying like the avatar being saying like, hey, I am not real, or hey, I'm an AI avatar and today I want to show you XYZ about HubSpot. And by breaking it into like experiments and then having data that to help back the experiments, I feel like that's the like the way that we like to approach situations like skepticism, because when you're like battling with opinions without data, it's hard to see who is right and who's wrong. So we always like to ground it into, hey, this is what we tried, this is what we tested, and then how we move forward.
Yeah, and that's a really great call out too, because earlier this year, we actually ran a study, because that's what we were hearing a lot too from customers, like, oh, I'm not sure if like my audience is actually ready for AI video. And so what we actually have found is that people are more ready for AI video than we think they are, especially consumers. And what they ask for is just that we are transparent about when we use AI, right? And I think Coca-Cola actually does a really great job with this. They were probably one of the first companies to create ads fully with AI a couple of years ago. And every year, I think they actually create a fully AI generated ad for the holidays. And so in those ads, they actually say this was completely or fully generated with AI. So like that's kind of the transparency that I think people expect, which I 100% agree with. But there are really creative ways you can do it, and you can create great things with AI for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, like also like people are not like the audience is not silly, right? Like they will find out if you're trying to trick it. So just being open with it. And I like Coca-Cola says like created with real magic AI. So they put like a twist into it. So that's what we've been seeing, like that it works the best. And yeah.
For sure. So I guess like what impact have you seen either quantitatively or qualitatively since adopting HeyGen?
Yeah, so like the biggest one I'd say is in terms of time savings and like the production output. So going back to the ads use case, like with our traditional workflow, we would just create 5 to 15 videos per batch, right? Like there was no humanly way possible to be able to expand to hundreds without expanding the headcount. So by using HeyGen, we were able to scale that production capability, while also reducing the time to complete the videos, rather than scheduling a creator, for example, that would take days and try out like different outfits, or scheduling multiple creators, because that's one thing that HeyGen helps us do as well, is test out different types of avatars, right? With different looks and wardrobe. So that just compressed the production time from probably like weeks that it would have taken to just like a few hours. And as well for like the localization part as well, the same thing, from scheduling with people from like that speak the other languages versus using the translation in HeyGen. The translation is done in minutes, literally. And for the reshoot case as well, instead of having to schedule executives again, you can just reshoot those lines with HeyGen. So those have been kind of like the biggest wins that we've seen with HeyGen.
That's awesome. Well, I'm sure a lot of the folks joining us are new to AI video generation and HeyGen. So for organizations that are just starting, their AI video journey, like what guidance would you offer?
I'd say, well, the first one is try think about like what is like most important for the audience, and what the trade-offs could be of like testing out like a new workflow or like the new AI. So for example, going back to the localization use case, I feel like this is a great example, right? Because without using HeyGen, for example, like your audience will be only watching the videos in English, maybe with captions, and that is not a great experience from them, right? Like probably they if they're watching a video, they probably want to get a great experience, or they want to hear the video while they're multitasking, etc. So the value of using the technology in this case is way more way bigger than any of the risks that you would encounter. Because say if you're like a skeptical person, you could be like, oh, but if it doesn't sound exactly the same, people might not like it, so this gives you like a way of experimenting and saying like, okay, there is more value to be gained from making this video localized so people could hear it in their language, versus the risk of like people may not liking it because it's AI. And in that way, you kind of like try to find the optimal use cases for your own organization based on like the results that you're seeing.
Absolutely, yeah. And if folks are having a hard time getting leadership buy-in on using tools like AI, or like HeyGen for AI video generation, what's your recommendation to convince their leaders? You kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but I wasn't sure if you had like a very specific thing that you would recommend people do.
The way that we usually approach it is like by conducting like pilots, right? So, and then like just getting the buy-in to be like, okay, let me just, for example, like localize, or let me just produce 2 videos. Let's just launch 2 videos alongside like the rest of the videos, and then see how the audience accepts the videos, how long it takes us in our production process. And then once you're able to see those metrics, and you're able to come back with leadership and say like, hey, using HeyGen, we saved like 80% of time, for example, or like we saw that there was no significant decrease in the watch time, then you're able to get a bigger buy-in. That's how we approach it every time we're evaluating a new tool here at HubSpot.
Absolutely. And I want to make sure we leave enough time to answer some of the audience's questions as well. But my last question for you is, do you have any tips or lessons that you've learned from your process so far?
Yeah, I'd say going back to the experimentation portion, I'd say like the biggest thing that has helped in my role has kind of like kept almost keeping like a checklist of use cases that I think a tool would be valuable for. Because like you might encounter a tool that might be great at I don't know, generating like I don't know, like animal videos, for example. But at the moment, you don't have a use case for generating animal videos, But so having like a list of tools, or like almost like an internal like database that people can reference later, because it's so you can also share it with your team. So if any of the team members finds themselves in that situation, like requiring a tool that it's able to solve for XYZ, then you're not only sharing your knowledge with the rest of the team, but also encouraging them to also have that experimentation mindset, that experimentation culture, and then eventually get buy-in from leadership, because they will be able to see that, okay, most of the marketing thing now is in this experimentation mode. So let's continue to foster that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your expertise with us. I do want to open it up to some of the questions that the audience has sent over. So Audrey, do we have any questions that we wanted to answer?
Yes. All right. We've got a few questions, and I think they're still rolling in. So we'll give people some time to ask questions. Please do add them to the Q&A chat. We've got a couple. Oscar, I'll start with a question for you. People are interested. You have a very cool job at HubSpot right now. And they're curious if you have any career advice about the trajectory of your career, where you were before, to ending up at HubSpot today.
Yeah, 100%. I feel very fortunate about like the role that I have. I feel like it's almost like a dream, being able to play with all of these tools. Yeah, I'd say like my biggest career advice is about having curiosity about the new technology, or like new workflows that people are sharing, and always testing new ways to improve your own process and your team's process. I started with the customer education team, like filming videos for the academy team. And then once like we had to pivot to remote shooting because of the pandemic, I decided to focus more on motion graphics, and eventually pivoted to working with a YouTube team on motion graphics. And then most recently with the emergence of AI tools, I was also playing with that. I was showing some of my experiments to my team. And then eventually, when the business need opened up for somebody to come into this position, I was able to almost like, show the work that I had already done because of that initial curiosity.
Nice. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
We have another question for you, Oscar, around how, video production is happening at HubSpot today. I think you shared a little bit. Sometimes it's self-serve with HeyGen. Sometimes the video team is still working on these. Can you give us an idea of how videos are made? Are some teams using just HeyGen? Or are you using other video editing tools as well in your video production?
Yeah, so it depends on a lot on the use case, right? So for example, for some of the ads that you saw, we're using like a mix of like HeyGen. We're using Capsule as well, is one of the tools that we have that helps us create motion graphics easily. So a tool that we can enable other creators within the company to be able to create their videos on brand. We outsource as well to external editors when the volume is high. So for example, when we have to do like longer certifications or product trainings, that gets outsourced as well. We have a studio in Cambridge. So sometimes when we do like bigger campaigns, we use the studio to shoot, and that follows a more traditional pipeline. So there's a lot of video going on at HubSpot. That's one thing for sure I can say, and we're always adapting our workflows to meet the different needs.
And Oscar, actually on that note, like how do you, I'm sure the audience might be interested in this, but like how do you personally decide when something is worth a high production studio shoot versus, a HeyGen video?
For sure. I'd say that we prioritize high product, like we look at the capabilities, right? So HeyGen is great for like talking head videos. When you have your avatar, it's able to like deliver the content, but sometimes it's or at the moment is not able to have the avatar kind of like perform like specific actions or like move or interact in more complex ways with other objects. So for example, if we need to do like a shoot where somebody is like interacting with something or moving around with a specific way, that is at the moment beyond the capabilities of like the tools that we have tested. So then we decide, okay, that is where it needs to have like a big like a bigger production. So we kind of like see based on our experimentation where the capabilities are and what do we need to accomplish the task.
Exactly. Yeah. And I guess like an example of the movement is like if you wanted somebody to walk across the room, pick up a vacuum cleaner and then vacuum around the house, like that is not something that we're able to currently do.
Exactly.
But who knows? It might be coming out in a couple of weeks or so.
Yeah, let me know when it's possible. I'll be the first one to try it out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. All right. We have a question related to HubSpot and HeyGen. About saying they think they heard a mention that you can actually use HubSpot for sending HeyGen videos as well. I don't know, Holly, if you can speak to that. We can share some resources in the chat as well about how you can use HubSpot integrated with HeyGen. We do have an integration.
Yes. Oscar, do you want me to start or do you want to?
Go for it. I would actually love to learn more. I didn't know that was a thing until coming here, actually. So I haven't tested it out, but I would be super happy to.
Yeah, of course. So we actually have a native integration with HubSpot, and it's that specific integration is built purpose built for personalized emails. So, a lot of the times that we send personalized emails, it's usually just plain text. And so sometimes what we do want is actually to send personalized videos. So some use cases could be like for event registrants, right? So for everybody who signed up for this bootcamp, we would potentially send you an email with my face saying like, hey, Audrey, thank you for signing up for the bootcamp. Can't wait to see you on Wednesday and Thursday. So there's a lot of different use cases you can do there. And the beauty of the integration is you no longer have to do like an import export type of thing. Everything is automated within your CRM and platform. So any trigger that you want to send emails off of, we can do the same thing for video creation. And like I said earlier, you can be basic in terms of just personalizing the name and also the company, or you can get a lot more advanced on like the different segments of audiences and have very specific messages that go out depending on the segment of the audience. So it's a really, really awesome integration, and I definitely recommend checking it out if you use HubSpot.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome because I know that we've been doing that level of personalization for emails, like for written content, but we haven't tested it yet with video. So
yeah, exactly. And like, a lot of sales reps also use it too, because I think from a marketing perspective, we always ask sales reps like, oh, send personalized videos to like follow up on the messages and all of that. But I think the beauty of this is like, we can do it at scale, and it's not just on the sales reps to record the videos of themselves every single time. And also marketing has control over the message as well. So it's a really neat integration, I would say.
A win-win, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I think that's the perfect question to end on. We are exactly at time. Just want to say thank you so much, Oscar, for joining us. It's been really cool to learn more about your experience, how HubSpot is approaching marketing and using AI video. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Yeah, thank you, Audrey and Holly. Like, HeyGen are great partners with us. We always enjoy working together and like developing new features together as well. So yeah, no, thank you for the opportunity, and happy to share our insights with the audience.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Oscar.
And thank you, Holly.
Of course.
I'll wrap up with a couple final notes where you can find more resources. This is was our last session. Please share your feedback with the feedback survey in the chat. We'd love to hear what you thought about this session so we can bring you more great content in the future. And Holly, okay, she goes. That is the end of our boot camp. Thank you so much to everyone who joined. I wanted to share, we have had over 7,000 people join Bootcamp live, and I know there are more people who are ready to watch the recordings. We're so excited. We're just thrilled by how much feedback we've gotten from this. Please do let us know in the survey. We've been sharing session surveys after each session, but you all just received an email as well with a survey for the total bootcamp. Please let us know what you think so we can figure out what we bring to you next to help you level up with AI video heading into the next year. We'd love to hear your feedback. I also want to share a few resources before we conclude. We do have networking available in the event. You can see it on the Match tab. I think the roundtable they've closed. But if you're interested in connecting with others, you can go into one-on-one match to chat with other people live who joined Bootcamp as well. That'll be open for the next 30 minutes. We've already added the recordings from day one to the event. So if you find the event page, we've got the links right there. It's 2 different YouTube videos. Our team is going to work on cutting up our sessions from the live stream so you can visit each of the sessions individually. We'll share that with you. We'll send out an email when it's available, and you can always come back to the community site to find that. Before we end, I do want to share a couple of resources so that as you're diving into HeyGen after Bootcamp, you can get the support you need. You can always come find us at community.heygen.com. You can get peer support in the forum, but you can also search for product guides, HeyGen Academy, all kinds of resources there. But if you haven't checked out the Help Center or reach out to support, that is your best first line for technical questions, also for pricing or subscription questions about your plan. You can use the chat within the HeyGen when you're in the HeyGen app. But you can also always email support@heygen.com. And this help.heygen.com, this is our help center. You can search for frequently asked questions and find articles right there. They'll answer a lot of your questions. And if you are going into the API, you can find those on our docs site, docs.heygen.com or docs.liveavatar.com. All of these resources, we do our best to make it so you can self-serve, find the answers you need, and then you can reach out to support or even post in the forum to get maybe an answer from another user who's been where you are before. So we hope you're set up for success. We just want to say a huge thank you again for every single one of our attendees. Thank you so much for joining us at HeyGen's very first boot camp, and we hope to see you in the future.